This week's module, Module 4, is going to touch upon spiritual life, academic support, and academic advising in colleges and universities. First, we'll briefly touch on spiritual life. Of course, Houston Baptist University is a college that is religiously affiliated with the Baptist General Convention of Texas, as well as identifies very clearly with an Orthodox view of Christianity, as you can see in the preamble of the university, that clearly states Jesus is Lord. And so in the context of spirituality at a faith-based institution, there certainly is going to be a tie to that faith, and that faith is, or at least should, be integrated into every aspect of the collegiate experience, whether it be in chapel, whether it be in the classroom, whether it be in the residence halls, or whether it be on the campus recreation fields. However, spirituality has also been found to be very important at all universities, whether private and faith-based or whether public. You can look at studies, especially done by the Astons out of UCLA, where they have surveyed hundreds of thousands of students across the United States and found that at public institutions, over 70% of students say that spirituality is an important concept to them, and whatever college they go to, whether it be private or public, they expect that college to support them in their spiritual growth. Spirituality has different definitions in different places. The Astons would define spirituality as connecting to something bigger than the student. Of course, faith-based institutions such as HBU would say spirituality is the development in a relationship with Jesus Christ. However, no matter what the institution is, students have told us that spirituality is important to them, and somehow they expect the college or the university to support them in growing spiritually. Different institutions do this in different ways. It's very obvious how a faith-based institution would support spirituality through chapel, through discipleship programs, through gospel-centric material that is integrated into every class that a student takes. Not that every class is a Bible class, but that the core mission of creation, the fall through sin, and God's purpose of redemption and education's place in that, it is all somehow integrated into the academic experience. But many public schools also offer a wealth of spiritual formation opportunities for students. Now, there are questions regarding this in relation to separation of church and state with public institutions, but some colleges have faith-based entities that have a type of dotted line reporting into the universities. The University of Alabama is one of these, where in their student affairs division, they don't necessarily oversee spiritual groups, but they do allow a place for spiritual groups and allow the spiritual groups to connect with students if the student desires to connect with them. That includes Christian students, Jewish students, Muslim students, students of various religious backgrounds. Other institutions, public institutions across the nation also have this, and for many institutions, it's a draw for students to come there, in that there is a very strong Jewish population with a Jewish student center where students can go, and the traditions and the spiritual beliefs of those students will be supported, and they have a community where they feel that they fit. So spiritual life is not just something that only happens at faith-based private institutions. but it also happens at public institutions. It happens in different ways, but students have overwhelmingly told higher education institutions through surveys that their spiritual development is important, and they expect colleges and universities to support that and offer them opportunities for that type of growth. Now, switching gears to an extent, we're going to talk about academic support and academic advising. Academic advising is truly a teaching tool and is something that can be done holistically. There are so many ways that that institutions do advising, and you'll see many of those on the readings or in the readings that have been assigned to you, and also in one of the videos that you'll be watching with Dr. Cuevas. Some schools do academic advising where it is simply the professor that does advising of the students. That professor helps the students register for class, understand what classes they need during that semester to further their walk towards graduation, and helps them understand why that class is going to be important in them fulfilling their profession. Not only do those professors advise students regarding the academics of the institution, but also they help those students engage in social groups on campus, and to an extent are a listening ear for the student, and to develop a professional, appropriate, but non-academic relationship with those students through those advising appointments. Traditionally, it has been found that faculty advising students is the best practice for academic advising. Now, institutions have grown leaps and bounds over the last 50 and 60 years, and numbers of students are greater than they've ever been. And so in many places, it is not feasible for faculty to teach, do research, and have a large group of students who they advise. So many colleges have gone to a professional advising model where they hire professionals who may or may not have a level of expertise in the field, the academic field in which they are advising, but their whole job is to connect with students to help make sure that those students are taking the right classes and are getting registered, and to offer that social support of students as they are going through college. This is also a good model, and again, is one that many schools have to do due to how large the student body has become, and the research and teaching responsibilities of the faculty. There are different philosophies and theories of how to do advising well. There are things such as strengths-oriented or strengths-based advising, which is when students take strengths quests, strengths finders, and academic advisors look at those strengths with the student and help the student understand how those intrinsic abilities that they have can engage with their schoolwork and becoming socially oriented and involved on campus. There is appreciative advising, where advisors learn about the student and help the student connect in various ways all of the dots and the opportunities that universities offer so that students can achieve their academic and personal goals. And there are a wealth of other types of academic advising that you'll read about in the textbook and you'll read about in other readings. Advising is sometimes held in student affairs, is sometimes held in academic affairs. There is no right or wrong place for it. The main thing is that students have someone who can advise them well regarding the appropriate classes to take, when to take those classes, how to register, and also someone who can be a level of social support for them as they study at institutions. Many institutions have also set up academic support services for students to engage with while they're in college. Many of you may work in these centers. Many of them are called academic success centers or student success centers. And what they deal with is the academic growth and the academic achievement of students. These focus on classes that can specifically have heavy writing duties to them, math, philosophy, pretty much any area of academic study that students will have to go through. Academic support services will offer some type of tutoring or help that would allow those students to succeed successfully. Not only are there centers and in-person resources for those students, but also many colleges have transitioned a good bit of those resources online to where students can meet with advisors or student success personnel through Zoom meetings, or find the information that they need through student success and academic success websites. Again, there is no right or wrong functionality in regards to how these things are set up. It varies by different colleges, and students have different needs. The important thing is that when academic support and advising services are offered, that they are offered well and that they are offered with the needs of the students in mind in order to allow them to traverse through the academic and social experience of the institution in the best way possible for their academic, personal, and social growth. The last slide is simply a slide that gives you resources where you can look for best practices, data, and other thoughts regarding spiritual life, academic support, and advising. ACSD is the Association for Christians in Student Development, and this organization, you do not have to work at a faith-based institution to become a part of it, but this organization is focused on helping student affairs individuals integrate their faith into what they do in student affairs and student development. There's the Council for Christian Colleges and Universities, which has a wealth of information regarding integration of faith into learning and how to integrate faith into everyday practices of student affairs, whether it be in the residence hall or whether it be in the admissions process. Also, you can check out UCLA's studies, as I mentioned, the Astons before, their studies on spiritual integration and formation of students in public universities. And in regards to academic support and advising, NACADA is really considered kind of the gold standard for best practices and for the community of individuals who are involved in academic support services and in academic advising. I would highly encourage you to visit the websites of these groups, and remember that NASPA and other organizations also offer an incredible wealth of information, especially regarding academic advising, academic support, and the integration of these things into the holistic learning experience of students.